One boy has been returned 14 times after being adopted. Today I found out why. In this system, kids usually get labeled unadoptable after maybe 3 or 4 failed placements. They usually have serious behavioral red flags, violence, screaming fits, setting fires. But Leo's file was weirdly clean. No outbursts, no aggression. The reasons for his returns were always super vague. Stuff like, not a good fit, or family medical emergency, or the one that always gave me the creeps. We just can't do this anymore. 2 weeks ago, the Millers took him in. They were the perfect couple, patient, wealthy, and desperate for a kid. I really thought this was the one. Then, this morning, I got a call at 3 a.m. It was Sarah Miller. She wasn't even crying. She just sounded dead inside. She told me to come get him right then. She said if I didn't show up, she was leaving him on the porch and driving away. She sounded dead serious. When I pulled into their driveway, the whole house was pitch black except for the porch light. Leo was just sitting there on his little suitcase, hands folded in his lap, looking totally calm. Sarah wouldn't even open the front door to talk to me. She just pushed the rest of his clothes through the mail slot and I heard the deadbolt click. On the drive to the temporary shelter, I finally snapped. I shouldn't have asked, but I had to know. I looked at him in the rearview mirror and asked him if they hurt him. He just said, no, they were very nice. So I asked him, then why are we in the car again, Leo? He just stared out the window and whispered, I forgot to keep my eyes closed. I got sleepy and I forgot. I had no idea what that meant, and I was too exhausted to push it. I dropped him off at the shelter, but I couldn't go home. I went back to the office instead and pulled his original unredacted history, the stuff from the very first police report when he was 3. I found a transcript of a 911 call from a neighbor. They hadn't seen Leo's bio parents in weeks. When the cops finally broke the door down, they found the parents just sitting in the living room. They weren't dead. They were sitting on the couch staring at a blank TV. They were skin and bones, totally dehydrated, but they wouldn't move. They just kept whispering, he's still looking at us. Then I found a handwritten note tucked into the back of a folder from his 7th adoption. It was from a dad who only kept Leo for 48 hours. It just said, check the reflections. My stomach dropped. I left the office and drove straight back to the shelter. I lied to the night guard and said I forgot to have Leo sign some intake forms. Leo was asleep on a cot in the corner of the room. I stood in the doorway, watching him. He looked like any other kid. Then, I looked at the window right next to his bed. The moon was hitting the glass perfectly, and I could see Leo's reflection. In the cot, Leo was lying on his side, his back turned to me. He was clearly out cold. But in the reflection, Leo was sitting bolt upright. The reflected Leo was staring directly at me through the glass. His eyes weren't brown anymore. There were these wide white circles that looked manic. And he was grinning. It wasn't a kid's smile. It was this wide, jagged grin that looked like it was splitting his face open. I couldn't move. My heart was thudding so hard, I thought it would pop a rib. I looked back at the actual cot. The real Leo was still curled up, breathing slowly, totally asleep. I looked back at the glass. The reflection was standing up now. It walked to the edge of the window frame and leaned in, pressing its face against the glass from the inside. It held up a hand, the fingers were way too long, with too many joints, and tapped on the pane. Then, the reflection spoke. I didn't hear it with my ears, it was like the sound happened inside my skull. 15, it hissed. You're number 15. I backed out of that room so fast I almost fell, and I didn't stop running until I was in my car with the engine roaring. I'm sitting at a 24-hour gas station right now under the brightest fluorescent lights